Shalom friends, welcome to Daf Reactions, Chagigah 9/10. But first, a content warning. Yes, this is a very special episode. This one is not a fun time. The Daf contains discussion of sexual assault and I use adult language, so viewer discretion is incredibly advised. Here we go. The Daf asks, what sin could be so terrible that the perpetrators could never set it right? And they give the example. If someone had sex with a woman forbidden to him and fathered a mamzer. Being a mamzer has massive stigma. You can only marry another mamzer or a convert, and not only that, but your children will also be mamzerim. But what about rape? Is that considered an act so terrible it cannot be rectified? At least in this specific daf, the answer is it depends. If the woman who was raped was the wife of an Israelite, then she can return to him, and so in the eyes of the Gemara, okay, it's fixed. But if her husband was a Kohen, a priest, she can never return to him, ever. And so it becomes clear that the act so heinous it cannot be forgiven is not the rape itself. It is raping a Kohen's wife. Sure, she suffered unbelievable trauma, but won't anyone center the feelings of the important men around her? It's bad enough to look back through time and think about the people who suffered this, survivors, people who are named mamzer, but what's actually more important is the ethical and communal challenges around these issues today. In Orthodox Judaism, mamzer remains an operative category, and it's closely linked to the issues about agunot. An aguna is a woman whose husband has refused to grant her a religious divorce, binding her, essentially, under his legal control. She can't remarry, but if she has a child with somebody else, that child will be a mamzer. In Israel, currently, there unfortunately is no civil marriage or divorce, meaning that religious law becomes the national law in these areas. It doesn't matter if you personally are secular. That doesn't change it. Many rabbis have worked really hard to navigate around these sensitive issues, but even that can backfire. For example, in a positive effort to not label children as mamzerim, rabbinic courts sometimes register the child to a woman's ex-husband. Imagine that nightmare if she's trying to escape him, or he's not the biological father. He still has the legal control. It is the very centering of male power and authority that we saw reflected from today's daf that hurts the modern-day Jewish community in profound ways, and it's what drove me away. Recently, there was a well-known incident in which a key rabbinic figure attended the shiva of an incredibly influential religious man who was a pedophile. What a devastating message to victims. What you told us about this man, your suffering, it doesn't really matter. We're still going to honor him in death. To my fellow survivors of sexual assault, you do matter. You are important, and it's not your fault. To agonot, you deserve to live your lives in freedom. To the incredible advocates working to change the status quo from across the spectrum of Jewish observance, like the Center for Women's Justice in Israel, you guys are heroes and you bring honor to our people. But to those who sustain their power through misogyny and the sexual abusers who count on nobody believing they're victims because they are women and children, I have a final thought. Lech la'azazel, you fucking pieces of shit.